local borders. The meeting was held by the first Deputy Prime Minister of Kazakhstan, the Minister of Industry, Saskayets. The participants of the meeting developed and adopted a document in which, at the first stage of creating a market, they proposed to unify the enterprises which are linked by technology along with their material and technical supply routes. This will be the basis for forming an inter-branch and transnational corporation. This development will be presented for consideration to the governments of Russia and Kazakhstan. The current time is sometimes compared with NEP, the revival of private enterprise. It is a revival in certain senses. All layers of the population have begun to engage in entrepreneurial activity. The Data news agency reports the results of its latest poll, which shows that 30% of Russian residents would like to open their own business, but only 3% are taking practical steps toward this. That is 10 times less than the number of future businessmen. Do you want to open your own business? Yes. Yes, I'd like to. What kind? I don't know. There are different kinds. Do you want to... Are you taking practical steps? No, not now. Would you like to become an entrepreneur or open your own business? I would like to, but I don't have the resources now. It's impossible to say now. I don't know what area I'd like to do business in. I should begin as a middleman, I guess. Mediation activity in food establishments are the most popular form among people who want to start their own business. We're traveling around making agreements, sending food back, and trading. So everyone wants to trade and engage in commercial activity, but who will produce things? The trade workers in the Kuzbas region believe that the labor collective's interests will be infringed during the process of privatization. The strike by trade workers here in Kuzbas was postponed until March 5th. Today, the fate of privatization of the trade enterprises was to be decided. The laborers believed that their interests would be infringed during privatization. The paradox is that both profitable and unprofitable stores are threatening to strike now. They believe that local authorities, through rents and taxes, are trying to break the back of trade and sell it off to the so-called mafia. The possible strikers' opinion about it depends on the position they occupy. The expected government delegation did not arrive here today. The Federation of Kuzbas Trade Unions several hours ago appealed to the labor collectives of the area to hold an hour-long warning strike tomorrow, March 6th. According to preliminary indications, the workers in the budget, trade, medicine, communications, and passenger transport areas will participate. Their main demands are salary increases up to the level of miners' salaries. So social tension continues to increase in the Kuzbas. I remind you that on December 15th, the Independent Trade Union of the Kuzbas miners declared a pre-strike situation, which still exists today. In order to prevent the unforeseen consequences of spontaneous activities, they created an organizing committee of local strike committees, which presents an entire package of demands to the government. Providing Kuzbas with necessary cash, providing large mining regions with food, especially sugar. These issues were discussed today at a meeting of the Russian government, led by Gennady Burbulis, Yegor Gaidar, and Mikhail Poltoranin. They met with representatives of the Kuzbas labor committees and the head of the Kemerovo administration. After the meeting, Mikhail Poltoranin said that the government is giving great attention to the working regions of Vorkuta, Kuzbas, and Tyumen. However, the tactic of taking the government by the throat, which is now being used by labor union functionaries, is unsuccessful. This point of view was also expressed by the chairman of the Council of Workers Committees in Kuzbas, Vyacheslav Golikov, who declared today that we must work with the government and not strike. At the same time, the president of the Council of Strike Committees confirmed that if the government commission does not come, they will begin a strike throughout the Kuzbas on March 10th. The situation is becoming explosive because we are all socially defenseless. Our health care is moving toward paid medical care. This operation is rare. It requires great skill. The surgeons are attempting to correct a defect in the flow of blood within the brain. But our topic today is not scientific news. We're talking about money. In 15 Moscow hospitals, this kind of operation for all residents except for those who live in Moscow would cost 10,000 rubles. Diagnosis and treatment together would cost 20,000. Other hospitals are even more expensive. I don't know whether to say this is good or bad. On the one hand, if it remains free, healthcare will never get out of the hole that it's in. There's no money to buy equipment or medicines or pay the salaries of doctors or nurses. On the other hand, we need, at the first place, to create a system of medical insurance, to start this first, and this will take much time, in my opinion. And then, for example, when this patient, at the age of 59 or 60 years, comes to us for an operation, the insurance company will pay for him, which has taken a lot of money from him in premiums. But what do we do now? Doctors are willing to call things by their names. The situation is terrible, and medicine must be transferred to a paid medical service as soon as possible. Unfortunately, one more gloomy segment from our program about accidents and catastrophes. At the Artyomov mine in the Donbass, an accident has occurred, our correspondent reports. The Artyomov mine is one of the most difficult in the area to extract fuel from. The unstable rock layers, and miners work over 1,000 meters below the surface. In one of these deep shafts, a rock bed collapsed along a great length. The reason for this underground catastrophe is now being investigated by a government commission. 6 workers of the mine are trapped. Their condition is unknown. A brigade of rescuers, along with the most experienced miners, are searching for the victims. As we have been reported to by the Russian Republic Railroad Ministry, at the scene of the railroad accident in Tver region, work is continuing by the government commission investigating the cause of the collision there. Overnight, the number of those killed in the accident was increased to 43. Yesterday's report on 100 deaths was not confirmed. In the hospitals of Tver region, 17 people are in the hospital, 5 more are in the Central Committee Hospital in Moscow. The Railroad Ministry has created a special commission to find and help the relatives of the victims. The telephone number is 262-5209 and 262-5031. Operators are working around the clock. The result of the investigation will be announced by the government commission no later than March 15th. Today, the Russian Federation Commission expresses its deep sympathy to the families and friends of those who died. The Russian State Atomic Oversight Commission has put itself in a doubly difficult position by sending a denial that they have no information on the incident at the 3rd reactor at the Balaklava nuclear power plant. The committee said it simply did not consider it necessary to inform the public because the event presented no danger to the population or the environment. The fire at the Balaklava nuclear power plant happened here at this so-called switching box where electrical equipment is situated along several levels. A spark erupted here and created an electric fire. In this small room was soon filled with smoke, and the fire was put out after 35 minutes. The alarm sounded and the reactor was automatically stopped. It was to be closed entirely in 1 month. How can we increase the reliability of nuclear plant safety? What can international cooperation give us in this area? This was the topic of discussion at a press conference today. At the Balaklava reactor number 3, there was an incident which was qualified on the 7-point scale of the International Atomic Energy Agency as a 0-level incident, meaning it presented no danger. Today, the radiation levels in the city are unchanged. And today, a decree was published by the government of the Russian Federation on defending citizens and rehabilitating the victims of the Chernobyl and other radiation catastrophes. The condition of our society is reflected in today's meeting on Red Square, which was devoted to the memory of Stalin. Statistics cannot give a precise number of those killed in the prisons and camps. but in Lubyanka prison, the records were destroyed upon Stalin's death. But between 1935 and 1940 in Lubyanka and its affiliates, 19,840,000 prisoners went through. Of them, 7 million were shot. So this event today can be seen as a rehearsal by forces who hope to return to totalitarianism. Love, faith, and passion, along with hatred and the curses of millions of people, accompanied Joseph Vissarionovich Stalin in life and continue down to today. He died March 5th, 1953, having succeeded by means of unmeasurable sacrifices by our country to free Europe from the fascist plague, in the process enslaving and disgracing his own people. Following his tradition, the name of Stalin was erased for an entire generation. Today, people remembered him. Old and new Stalinists remembered. In Moscow, on Red Square, there were more press people and reporters than those who came to remember the